Okay, here's a little quick video tutorial of midiSequencer. I've got my iConnect MIDI 1 hooked up to the iPad 3rd Gen. It's the iConnect MIDI 1 only has a single port, MIDI port in and out. I've just got the MIDI out port connected to the Volca bass, and I've got the output of the Volca bass going into the R8. This is take 3. I've made a couple of stuff-ups already. The most important one being I forgot to actually hit play, so there was no audio. Oh well, you get that on the big jobs. Okay, so midiSequencer. Here it is right here. Okay. Now what happens with midiSequencer, if you've got the most current version, as soon as you launch it, it'll take you straight to the device mode. So you launch, okay, and straight away it pulls up your devices, and it shows you down here all of the devices which are connected. Okay, so have a good look at this input output, because this is where you're probably having your issues. So you notice that next to the word device there's no name, active's blank, MIDI clock's off. Down here we've got a list of all devices. One of them is the internal device, which is midiSequencer itself, and the other one is iConnect MIDI 1. Okay, so it's picking up that my interface is plugged in. If you're not seeing your interface down here, then I'm afraid it's going to be an issue with your interface itself, not so much with the program. Okay, so if I just was to exit out of here, I'm showing that these are my outputs, but if I go exit, I'll be very surprised if it plays. Well, blow me down, it does. Let's have a look why. Well, to start with, I have to actually select one of these to see how it's set up. Now watch what happens when I press the bottom. You see here, active is showing that it's on, MIDI clock is off, blah blah blah. I also want to draw your attention to this button at the top here. Pressing either side doesn't actually switch this like a radio button. Although it looks like it's a radio button, it's actually a toggle. And what you're seeing is that that button is lit to reflect which mode this menu is actually in. So if I tap that, that's actually looking for input now. So you can actually have a keyboard hooked up to this and set the, in a similar manner to setting up the sequencer on the Volcas, you can set this up by playing a little riff on the keyboard into it. Okay, and you can see down here I can select from either one of these. Tap it again, tap it in the middle just to show you. Okay, and we're back over here again. Now, notice that if I tap midiSequencer, that's also on as well. I don't believe it has to be on. So what we'll do is let's turn both of them off. So note that output is highlit, midiSequencer, and turn midiSequencer off. And I'll go down here, tap on iMidi 1, and I'll turn that off as well. Now if I go exit, and I come down here and I hit play, we can see the LEDs are strobing through the sequence there, and I'm not getting any sound into the R8 at the moment. Okay, so stop that, go back to devices at the top here, make sure that output is lit by just tapping it, go down to the MIDI device that you want. Okay, so I've tapped it there, it's highlit in grey. Go back up here, hit active, it says interface activated. Okay, I'm not going to bother with the MIDI clock launch. I haven't got any sequence set up, so it's not really going to matter at the moment. I hit exit. Now when I hit play, all I'm getting is a single note playing, which is C3 for 16 steps. Now if I tap this little button down here, this allows me to draw the controls rather than slide in each individual fader. And that's all there is to it. Now if you go down here to channel, you can actually set whichever channel you want to drive, whatever, or on a step you can drive a particular MIDI channel. So you notice now it's skipping the channels that aren't channel 1. So I'm trying to drive channel 9 and channel 8. So what would happen is that step 4, 5, 7 and 8, however I've got them set up on the notes, would be receiving 4, 5, 7 and 8, those particular notes there. Okay, so I hope that's been just enough info for you and not too much over the top. See how you go now.